Welcome back to NAmen episode 18. This is our second NACL special. We've got two very special guests with us. But first, I'm Arsh. I'm your host, Arsh13 on Twitter, and very excited to be back on the podcast after taking a bit of a hiatus for vacation. We've got Delfi here.
I'm Delfino, December OLI on Twitter. I just got fed Tenacity and Vicio content from the LCS Flicker, so I'm a very happy person right now.
Very nice. Very, very nice. And we've also got Andrea, our NACL expert here in NAmen.
My name is Andrea. I'm just an LCS and NACL fan. And yes, I do enjoy NACL a lot. I even bore people talking about it, so I'm really happy to be here.
Yeah, just an NACL and LCS fan. She's, by the way, if you guys don't know, Andrea is the person who did like all of LCS profiles and the spreadsheets. So she's also
the GOAT.
A computer genius. Basically makes like all the cool stuff. Okay, and as for our two special guests, first we've got NACL colorcaster Cubby.
Hello. Yes. I am an NACL covercaster. I can now kind of talk about that. We're signing good to go for next year. So yeah, no, I'm excited to be here. I also share the job that Andrea does sometimes, where I just bore people talking about NACL, and I'm looking forward to bore all of you today.
And last but certainly not least, newly promoted LCS caster Raafaa.
Oh, sorry. Cubby was boring me. I fell asleep. What's up? I'm just kidding.
And they were roommates.
Cubby's gonna walk over and
yeah, I'm the roommate of an LCS caster now. That's actually my new role.
Yeah, we were talking about how we're gonna clout chase you, Raafaa, by first clout chasing Cubby, so that we can be friends with an LCS caster.
You need to be good to me, or else I like the people that are trying to clout chase you. I will give the bad ones to you if you are not nice to me.
Yeah, he'll cut off all the good ones.
I can be like your agent middleman.
Agent for friends.
Raafaa's just like confused. How are you gonna respond to this, Raafaa? Come on.
Moving on. We're here to talk about North American Challengers League. Yeah! Semi-Pro NA! Let's fucking go.
Yeah. Just for like context, last time we talked more about the format of NACL because like most of the teams hadn't been decided yet. So this time we are going to focus more on the teams and players. It's super cool that we get to have like a bunch of NACL experts and me and Delfi. So we're kind of going to be here like, oh, very cool, as the people who are kind of absorbing this information from the people who are very, very knowledgeable on this. But yeah, we have first, we're going to talk about all of the best teams. So for the best teams, we're looking at like title contending teams, which is definitely going to be 100 Thieves first. So 100 Thieves, tell me about 100 Thieves. Who's excited?
Can I talk about 100 Thieves? One player.
Delphi's always excited about 100 Thieves.
No, that's not true. You know good and well that's not true. Who I am excited for is my number one Viet King Am of the Year, Yukino Cat. He went from being like I think a sub or like not even playing full time on an amateur team in spring to going up and going to EG Prodigies in summer, and now he's on 100 Thieves Academy, like. And he was discovered like mostly through Champions Queue, which is so cool to me. Just because like I knew him a lot from Champions Queue. Like me and Elaine would constantly text about like who is this guy who is so loud all the time? Like he's so funny, and like a lot of people seem to like him. And he was like good, like he played well. So like I think it's really cool that like he went from being on like an amateur team in spring of last year to being 16 on an academy team in summer or in spring of this year, which is really cool. And I'm really happy to watch him play with Sniper, who is literally the most hyped prospect ever.
Speaking of the players, which I probably should have done before letting Delphi go off on her Yukino Cat rant. Sniper is the top laner, that's General Sniper, and Yukino in the jungle, both very hyped players. Pretty in the mid lane, Unforgiven in the bot lane from Europe, and Destiny in the sport. So that is 100 Thieves, and that is a very stacked roster.
Anyway. Yeah,
it's,
go
it's
ahead.
gonna be a front runner. I think the Yukino story is like, you called most of it. Like, Yukino was the backup to Griffin with no team, and they were a pretty good amateur team in spring. So Yukino wasn't playing, but he was just destroying Champs Q. And it was
He
pretty
really
interesting that like he was the one that was getting like garnering a lot of attention, even if Griffin was playing well for no team, because like he was playing Zed jungle, Talon jungle. He plays like Pantheon and Xin Zhao, and was just kind of like wrecking early games. So I know that like from talking with some of the folks like played or like scouted Yukino, they feel like he's pretty young. He's not like your typical like Weeson, Graves, Viego player that we get in the jungle. He has a very different pool. But he's pretty smart about like how he attacks, and they like his approach to the game. So like even though he's young, they feel like his mindset will allow for him to improve, and I really want to see if he can do that in his first split of academy, because jungle's the hardest. Like that is the most stacked role from top to bottom in NA. So he's going to be tested. Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
I wanted to call back to one singular thing. If anybody remembers the Yukino Kaori beef, it is like ancient buried champions Q lore. But basically, Yukino like was flaming Kaori, and Kaori was like, if this man types one thing to me, I'm dodging. They got into a champs Q lobby. Yukino was like, hey, what's up? And then he dodged and got off the entire rest of the night. It was actually the funniest thing I've ever watched, because Kaori is like 23 being tilted by a 15-year-old. I was literally dying laughing. It was like 2 a.m. because Champions Queue is really late for East Coast, and I was dying laughing. It was so that's such deep Champs Queue. That's just deep Champs Queue lore.
Yeah,
like if anybody remembers that, like I actually give you like kudos.
Yeah.
Anyway, continue about whatever you.
Raafaa,
I'm sorry, I just had to
Funny.
remember
That's
that.
funny.
I mean, Cubby kind of hit most of the important points about Yukino. It's typical to see, especially in such a stacked role for North America. It's one of the few roles where we genuinely have really good talent, and a lot of the times it's someone that plays a shit ton of Lee Sin, someone that plays a lot of Nidalee, someone that plays a lot of Graves, right? And they just farm the ladder. Sometimes it's an aggressive Elise Rek'Sai player like Rosethorn, and this guy not only plays out of the box champions, but he also just has really, really fun ways to approach the game that is not like what everyone else does on strong skirmishers or strong gankers. He's very aggressively invading people. And honestly, my favorite thing about Yukino is something that I do in a lot of my ARAM games, which is the patented Yukino slide build, which is where you go Prowler's Claw on Viego. You don't rush it, but you go Essence Reaver into Collector into Prowler's Claw, and you go on Infinity Edge. It's a full crit build. And honestly, you could probably just go Essence Reaver into Infinity Edge Prowler's Claw now that they're making the change to 40% crit. And you just dunk people because his ulti scales with crit. So the execute damage does more the more crit you have. And obviously the amplification of crit damage off of IE works in the same pattern as well. So
that is insane.
Yeah.
I call Yukino slide.
Yeah, so you throw out your Herald Mist, and then you're approaching them in stealth. Obviously, they can see you, but not exactly where. And then you Prowler's Claw, W. I think you can also hold W, Prowler's Claw, and then release W. And as long as your cursor's on the champion, you'll slide through them with Prowler's Claw, and you'll slide right on back. A little cha-cha-cha movement. Hence, Yukino slide. And then you just throw out your full combo and one-shot them.
Remind me to never play ARAM with you.
Yeah, that is.
All right,
that is
Delphi,
psychotic.
we need to drop the ego. I know you had your fantastic wombo combo, but relax, okay? Like, if you get me an ARAM, we're gonna have a good time. We might not win, but we're gonna have a good time.
that's the issue.
Yeah,
we got a competitor here.
I'm a competitive ARAM player, bro. I can't be competitive in anything else.
Oh my god.
Oh wait, never mind. Elaine says that sounds great. Let's play ARAM. Okay, let's play ARAM together.
I'm telling you, Raafaa is the most entertaining person to play League with because he is a plat jungler. But there are some games where he can topple Masters players, and then other games where I feel like I could jungle against him blindfolded and win the map. And there's really no in between, so it's very exciting.
You've never met a League of Legends
That's
player
like me,
before.
except I can't do the master player thing. I can only. Okay, but so 100 Thieves obviously a very exciting roster. They have on both like their LCS squad and their NACL squad, they have like really hype names, like unreasonably hype names. But moving on, there's another team, the other team that's like considered.
But before we move on, I do want to hit on like the build for a lot of these NACL teams, because if you aren't a fan of NACL, you might be like, why don't they go like all prospects, or like why is like Unforgiven here? I think that like 100 Thieves. So they're like, from talking with a lot of the GMs and like just best practices that like teams have figured out over the years, and kind of like where things have led, most teams in NACL are either developing like 2 or 3 prospects and are going to surround those people around 2 or 3 people that can help them round out. Now that's not to say that like, they can't make LCS, but a lot of the times like there's a huge knowledge gap between someone that's going from amateur to like entering academy. It's really important to have people around them that can help them be successful in the game and outside of the game. So
and
obviously that's
even
staff,
bigger of a
but also
knowledge gap
players.
from my understanding, like from academy to LCS. So having players who have been
Yeah,
at
no
like
way.
the tier 1 level is like also helpful from my understanding. Like you have those players like come down and like help ease the eventual jump from tier 2 to tier 1.
Yeah, so pretty much like I think like 100 Thieves, I like their build for like a lot of reasons. One, Pretty has been shown that he's really successful at like working with junglers, just given the style that he plays. Like he sacrifices a lot and does a lot with that usually. Obviously, Unforgiven is someone that like performed very well in EU, especially in summer. And a lot of times when I talk with teams, they feel like when they import a player, that player like has to be a potential to like be a top 5 LCS in their role. Because a lot of times, like if they can't promote internally, then they're looking to sell externally. And of course, imports are a little bit. You have to be a little bit smarter with how you use your import slots, just given that we're in NA, right?
Yeah.
And then of course, rounding it out with Destiny, I think that Destiny like does have a lot of strengths as a player, especially like, as an engager. So I think really highly of the bot lane, but also the roster build in general. So not only is this a team that like, I feel like in NACL, it is more important for a team to promote internally or sell a player externally than it is to win the league. If you're going to be good at those first 2 things, then you might end up winning the league like TL did. That led to TL like having 4 players, move up, or 3 players move up, and then Armeo, tragically not having a team.
Yeah.
But even if he's deserving.
Criminal.
Yeah, but like that's your goal, right? And if you just so happen to win, that's great. But the goal is to make sure that you're servicing your LCS program, whether that's buyouts or moving up. So I think the 100 Thieves is really well postured for that with their roster.
Interesting. Like winning the NACL is like a byproduct of a good program, but like you don't need to win the NACL to have a good program.
Correct. Like JoJo, that EG team took like 5th, 6th. Yeah. Andrea knows, right? Like contract
Andrea
moved
just
up
thinking
and,
about
yeah.
EG in tier 2 and tier 3.
To
And
be
just,
fair, I think that team would have been really good if contracts had been in for proving grounds in summer, but fortunately, well, they go on.
Yeah, but also like no one remembers that because JoJo is JoJo, right?
Yeah.
Who cares?
I mean,
about
it
how
doesn't
you play,
matter.
so-
It really doesn't matter.
And we'll definitely be coming back to, for sure, Sniper and Unforgiven, because we talk about best players and roles. And those two definitely like are in those conversations, I think. But the next team also kind of a similar vein to 100 Thieves in terms of like mixing obvious prospects with like journeymen. It's C9. So C9's roster is Fake God in the top lane, Tomio in the jungle, Jimenez in mid lane, Lost ADC, and Zazel support.
This roster is really like just I think it's really cool, but it's also when this roster was constructed, I don't want to say negative things because it's not like a whoa, like why'd they do that? It's like, oh, I wonder what was the thought process of putting a roster like this together. I think like
you just rephrased why did they do that in like
Yeah,
nicer
yeah,
words.
like,
Why did no? It's not like why did they
difference
do
was-
that? It's like I wonder what the reasons were for doing that.
okay, but the tonality
Yeah,
difference,
for sure.
Right.
like negative to positive. It's all about
Okay.
You're sure
But-
there are reasons, you just don't know what they are.
Sure, yeah. And because for me, I think replacing someone like Darshan with Fake God, who did not have a great time in LCS and was burnt out and losing motivation, was public about it, is now back just out of nowhere. I want to know what happened. I want to know, like, it was Darshan, like, because Darshan has not been public about him not playing Challengers League anymore.
Yeah.
Fake God wasn't public about like him coming back to compete. Anytime I see
he made a post talking about how he was gonna.
Yeah, he wants a Korea boot camp.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he made a post. I actually was pretty happy. Like Fake God, generally, like I really liked his post when he talked about like his mental health after and like why he wanted to come back. Also, like I think right after he made that post, he solo killed 369 in Champs Queue, which I think something we should definitely bring up because.
Oh. Okay, well that's my bad then. See,
Yeah,
like this
Did you miss
is
that, Raafaa?
important.
That was really important.
Yeah,
Very
I can't believe
so
we
Fake
forgot.
God versus Zeus won is what you're saying, right?
Oh,
No,
was it Zeus?
no.
I thought it was 369.
No.
If he
I was
solo killed
in
369,
stream.
You know.
He solo killed 369
It was like
3 separate times in one
Yeah,
game.
it was
Yeah,
three
like-
times. He like completely.
It was
wrecked
Aatrox versus
369.
Zeus.
Pedro watching that?
Yeah,
It was
there's-
Kadriel, and I
Yeah.
clipped it. I have a clip, and it has like
have a
70,000
clip.
views. Of
I think
Fake
it was
God
the same
solo
game
killing
where like
369.
RJS destroyed Knight, right? Or it was like the
No.
same day. The same day RJS completely.
I
fucked
don't remember.
on
I
Knight.
just remember watching it on Kadriel's stream, and I was like, "Oh my god, this guy just solo
Yeah,
killed."
it was like
best top
one
laner
day
in
where we were
LP,
like, dude,
you know?
NA talent is crazy. RJS and Fake God just completely murdering 369 and Knight. It was the funniest. I remember that forever. That's like the first thing that comes to mind with Fake God right now.
Hell yeah. Well, honestly, my bad. Respect
No.
to Fake God for
Yeah.
putting in the work. I mean, that's really awesome to hear, and that's important to bring up for future NACL broadcasts.
Yeah, I think definitely like I can see I still agree with you that like Darshan especially considering like, Darshan was not bad. Like Darshan was a not I don't want to say best in role, but like he was one of the best academy top laners,
He was like third, like he wasn't
Third,
like
fourth.
Tenacity Bradley, but he was like the tier pool.
Sorry. Who?
All
Sorry,
right,
who?
I'm sorry. I said
Oh,
the one word I was told not
yeah,
to mention.
we
on
actually
this
don't have
beforehand,
Delphi
you know?
on any episodes where we mentioned Tenacity or Busio because it
Tena-
just actually is impossible to get through the episode.
Milan Alexi, who?
There's a similar rule with Elaine and
Tenacity?
JoJo Inspired. So whenever we're talking about JoJo Inspired, we literally can't have Elaine on. Otherwise, it's just
Oh, so that's why. It's either me or Elaine. All right, I see.
yeah. when we don't have Elaine, we bring in the goat of JoJo Inspired defenders.
Oh, God.
And Andrea also has a player, but I'm not allowed to name him.
Just gonna.
But
What a teaser!
That's the Arsh way. That's the Arsh
What a
way.
teaser.
Okay.
there's a
Great.
player we're not gonna
Fantastic.
stick too much on. Andrea will keep going forever. There's actually two. But okay. C9. Is there anyone like other than like Jimenez, for example? Jimenez and Lost, I feel like are really, really interesting additions here.
Yeah, so I mean, one thing that I do want to transition into and actually ask Andrea about as well is one of the really interesting moves of the offseason was the fact that C9 and EG traded junglers, Tomio and Shaded, and that wasn't just like how offseason worked out; it was actually a trade. So I do want to ask Andrea about that, but I do think with C9, again, I can see them like focusing on developing Tomio and Jimenez. They have a little bit more experience than, prospects the likes of Sniper or Yukino, but I think there's still direction. Also, for me, some of the pieces of this make sense. Zeyzal, when Zeyzal's been competing, I've always thought very, very highly of Zeyzal as a player and also a leader of a team.
Factual.
And he was coaching C9.
Yeah, I mean, Sven spoke very highly about how
Yeah.
cerebral Zeyzal is. Like, I'd never thought of Zeyzal as like a fan, as like a cerebral support, but I mean, Sven spoke very highly in terms of his journey.
So I don't know if like how many of you in this like call would remember when Zeyzal was on the C9 Worlds run in season 8.
I don't think anyone but Andrea.
Yeah.
Oh, come on.
None of us were
I
watching
think-
in 2018.
I think Zeyzal, like as a player, he might be one of the players in Academy that I actually expect to take up the biggest percentage of comms. Like
Yep.
a Zeyzal team is
Mhm.
ran by Zeyzal in comms.
Yep.
And that for me is a very curious thing in Academy. I think it's actually going to be a really good match for Tomio because I think EG, when they were giving Tomio
Alright.
more direction, was really good for him. And I'm curious about Jimenez. I know that I think that both mid lane selections for C9 were very much influenced by Viger B2 as a coach. He's really respected in the community. And honestly, like C9 for me sometimes drinks too much of their own Kool-Aid. but also I respect them for it. Even though I think it's sometimes like
Their
it
Kool-Aid
can hurt
rarely
them.
goes wrong is the problem. Like it always feels like they're blatantly drinking Kool-Aid.
Sometimes it's like Jim Jones.
I mean, I will say that like I don't want to take away from their win in LCS Summer, but that was a team that was middle of the pack until that one patch where they were the best team in the patch. But I also like I want to see how these two mid laners can develop. I think MNS actually has better mechanics than Diplex, and I would not be surprised if we see a swap throughout the season.
Yeah, that is the
Put it that way.
theorized. That's the fan hopeful like knight in shining armor. And Mendes comes in from the academy or from the NACL.
So whenever I don't know like how much more time I want to spend on C9 though, but I am really curious about Andrea's thoughts about EG,
Yeah, Andrea
like
definitely
transitioning into them next. Yeah.
Let me Shaden. Andrea, your thoughts?
Yeah.
I mean, that's an interesting trade. I don't know what prompted C9 to do that, to be honest.
Do you think
I think
someone won
Shaden's
out of it?
really valuable. I mean, everyone's gonna say that C9 won. I mean, EG won this trade, right? But like, I feel like it's really interesting. Like, what is C9 hoping to get out of this? And obviously, EG wanted this player for a long time, right? I mean, it's something that they tried to do before and they couldn't do because of issues. and now they get the chance to work with this player that they consider they value Shaden really highly. I know that that's always been a thing. So I don't know exactly. I think I'm really excited about Tomio moving to a different team. I think Tomio spent 2 years on EG, and I think that time, well, it's had to come to an end, and I think it's going to be really good for him to do something else. I mean, to go to a different environment.
Yeah.
At least I hope.
What I do want to reference like add details. So you're referencing the fact that there was EG when it was contracts. JoJo was actually supposed to be Shade and JoJo, and then Shaden got comp banned. So there was a world where Shaden and JoJo would have been on the same team for academy.
Wait, Shaden got comp banned? What?
Back then, yeah.
Yeah.
What happened?
Sorry, I always
Solo
assume
queue
people know
chat
these
logs,
things.
you know. Good times.
Yeah.
The classic.
He's that classic behavior check fail. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I think it was an interesting. I mean, the way it turned out, I think like it turned out really well for EG at the end. So I don't know how it would have gone if they had the roster before.
Yeah,
But
I mean,
yeah.
EG is actually like the reason I was fine to talk about the trade is because EG is the next team on the list in terms of like title contending teams. So like we already kind of talked about Shaden, but like who these pieces around Shaden. So Shaden obviously is the jungler for EG. They have Soul in the top lane from TSM last year. Quick aside, I am such a fan of Soul. I hope that this guy gets the like confidence he needs to come to LCS because like
True.
he is.
You mean
such
the
Oh, you go.
Oh, I was about to say, you mean the projected by TSM's internal metrics top 4 LCS top laner at 1 point Soul, correct? Is this the same
Wait,
person
did
that
TSM say
TSM
this?
went walk?
You mean Anime Girl?
They said it
Yeah.
in a
My
post.
goat,
The GM
anime
said it
girl.
on a post.
In Reddit post, correct?
He is
Yep.
he is the anime girl, so I could see that being a thing about him being top 4. But like seriously, I'm if for some reason people listening didn't see Soul last year, he was incredible on camera, and honestly like was a player that showed a lot of upside when he was on TSM's main roster. So he's EG's NACL top laner. In mid, they've Ryoma, who's a very known player, and King, and Smoothie in sports. So this is, I'm looking at it now, and obviously I did my research before, but this just looks like C9 kind of.
Oh, like in terms of like kind of the archetype of players they have?
Yeah, I mean like this.
Someone said
King
this really
Yamcha
that this
and-
looks
yeah.
exactly like a roster that C9 will put together.
Yeah, it's just
Which is interesting, yeah.
It's interesting. I mean, I think it's different from what I would expect from EG. Does that sound fair? Like from
I
what I know
don't
about
think it's
EG's
that
developmental system, it
I
looks
don't think it's that
different.
different.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, why do you think it's different? Because they have a rookie top laner, or more or less. I mean, he has what
Second
one
split?
split of academy. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, very green still, and this also another player who has one split of academy, which is
Shaden has one split of academy.
Shaden. Yep.
Dude, I thought Shaden was like.
So
Never
these two
mind.
are
I thought
pretty
Shaden was like way
green,
more
yep.
experienced.
No.
I
It
heard
was
his
like
name so
19,
much.
no?
Aiden's 19. I did not know that.
No,
I thought
He's young.
2021.
I just
They are all
Split.
21.
Wait,
They are
wait,
all.
was-
They're
wasn't
both
it a full
21.
year? Didn't we have him for a full year?
No.
No, he
it
was
was
summer
just
only.
C9 last split.
It was Malice in spring.
Oh, you're
Malice.
Dude, that's wild. I'd forgotten about that
You forgot about
entirely.
Malice?
I must have scrubbed
How?
Malice out of my brain. I'm
Oh,
You
sorry.
actually should, to
dude.
be
The Youngers
honest.
versus C9 every single game.
No, now I remember.
That's
no,
crazy.
Malice was something else. The
It
way
was
he played the
Canada.
game and he forced C9 to play his game was entertaining. But oh man, that's anyway. Shaden,
Yes.
yeah. I don't know if this has already been mentioned, but one of the things that I think, especially Cubby brought up during the early meetings of talking about how this EG roster came together is this was a roster to facilitate Shaden, because as great as Shaden is, he is young, and I go a lot harder than Cubby does, and he has a lot more sympathy. But yeah, he's an emotional player, and when things don't go his way, it's a tough environment. So, I think.
Oh, he just like Arsh. Oh my goodness.
Bro, I'm not young.
So-
I'm old. Okay, I'm.
This EG roster with Soul, Ryoma, King, and Smoothie is. Am I capping? It's still Smoothie, right? For
Yes,
support.
it's just
Yes,
Smoothie.
It is
Okay.
smoothie.
Oh, but a non in Canada smoothie once he gets his visa. I'll be able to meet in
Oh.
person.
True.
Wow.
That's big. He's not
That's
70
big.
ping anymore.
Yeah.
Someday.
All these players are meant so that if things are not going, the way of Shaden, and it's kind of a grim outlook, it's not like an instant FF15. That
Right.
the team is going to work together, say, hey, don't worry, Shaden, we got this. Here's some alternative win cons we could play through bot side, we could play through top side. Just trust in me, we can still win this game.
And that's why you got Soul there, because nothing can seem more hopeless than TSM's environment last year.
If
Wow.
you made it through the TSM trenches, you can make it anywhere, bro.
Yeah,
Factual.
he's prepared. That's why they wanted to pick him up. Any other thoughts on EG?
I'm really happy Rayama's back, by the way.
Tommy.
Really, really happy. I miss him so much. Let's play it.
It was a crime that he wasn't in the league, much like how it's a
He
crime
wasn't
that
taking
again.
a break or anything. That was just like.
No, did you just tell him to the shower realm? I mean, sorry, no, but like he played on Jake's Kittens.
My fire alarm just went off. You guys keep recording.
Oh no. Arsh.
Cubby, were you going to say something, Raymond? Yeah.
Oh man. So I mean I think that Ryoma like like as a whole is there a way I'm gonna mute Arsh real quick. I think that Ryoma as a whole, in the 3 splits that he's played PG, he has taken top 3 every time, and he's been top 3 in his role as an individual. So I think like him being back and being able to actually help a jungler in Shaden is great. Also, I know like from behind the scenes, I know that Shaden really wanted to play with Ryoma. And even though Ryoma and King have like never played together, I'm pretty sure when they moved over here, they were roommates at some point and are like really close friends as well behind the scenes. I think like I'm not too familiar with like their oceanic like back history. I somewhat know. I have to like refresh myself, right? I think they were like friendly rivals back then. Like they didn't play on the same team, but they've always been friends outside of the game. So it's pretty cool that Ryoma and King actually get to play together now too. Something to be excited
No,
about.
Ryoma and King did play in the same team, and they are like best friends.
Yes. Okay. Hold
Oh,
on.
that's
I
cute.
I
They
must
played
peek.
on Sing Gaming with by the way, with Dokla and Juves in the same team. So that's
Oh my
a fun fact.
goodness. Wait, in O's?
Yeah,
Oh wow.
that's
That's ancient lore. Oh my god, Andrea.
in 2017. Yeah,
Was that the one that FBI was on, or is that a different one? Because I know FBI and Dokla played together too, right?
Bad. I'm confusing FBI and Roma. Yeah. And King. Sorry. Yeah.
I know. Yeah, I know. I think they're all pretty close, if I'm not
Oh
mistaken.
yeah, Dokla played in
Yeah,
Australia.
Dokla played in Australia.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's in
Come on,
response
Maya.
to
Get it.
typed question.
Cubby? You were
Uh,
saying
no, I think that's like I just think it's like a really like kind of a neat fact about EG, and I do like their approach. I think that while it may not be like, hey, these like new academy players, which EG has usually done, we did have 16 promotions from amateur to academy last year, and a lot of these folks like are now in their second year, or in EG's case, and Sol and Shaden their second split. So it still is like really young players in the top side, which, funnily enough, we've seen from both 100 Thieves and EG now. So yeah, good times.
do we have another team that we want to highlight as a contender for the NACL?
Yeah, so the fourth team that we wanted to highlight might actually surprise some, but it's actually Dignitas.
Yeah.
Who took second.
Yeah.
Andre, as the local NACL expert, Andrea, what do you think here?
I don't know about that one.
Oh, okay.
Oh. But I'm willing to listen to what do you have to say, because I don't know about that one.
I think the thing about Dignitas, like for me, what makes them pretty good is the fact that Insanity was so good last year in that split. He's back, which is really exciting. I think that he played very well. And yeah, I think that it's a team where I will say, I think Bakery said in their Discord that it's built to win NACL. Again, I don't think that's like the goal is to win, but if they do it, I wouldn't bat an eye. Like their roster,
Bakery
I think
also said Hoon will be MVP.
yeah, no, yeah. Well, I mean, we'll see. I do hope.
Number one.
I'm rooting for the Hoon redemption arc. He was put in LCS too early.
Okay.
Kind of like the rest of them.
It was a bad situation, yeah.
It was. I am hoping for the Hoon redemption arc.
I feel like Hoon got put into so many like really tough
No,
spots,
because
like,
I really hate when that kind of stuff happens. Like, oh, sorry, Andrea, go ahead.
no, go on.
I was just gonna say I really hate when that kind of stuff happens because, like, you see, like, when Fake God was put in LCS, when Hoon was put in LCS, and all these players are put in LCS before they're ready, like, they just get absolutely dogged by the community, and then, like, they don't want to go back because, like, they don't want to experience that type of stuff again. But, like, I feel like we should be a little more sympathetic to people who are put in a bad situation at a bad time. So I think Hoon redemption is it's very possible, and I hope it happens.
My problem with Dignitas is more of like, okay, I don't know how I feel about Tomo and Diamond. I feel like they didn't have like the best performance last year, so I don't know if I can see this team winning an ACL because of that.
I mean, hopefully they keep.
One.
Yeah.
Cubby. I will agree that Tomo looked not great and probably paled in comparison to his performance, let's say 2021, which I think was Tomo's best year. And that was also the year where Flyquest Academy were so damn good during the summer in the early first few weeks and were stomping so hard, whereas Flyquest LCS was not doing so great. And they did the swap. That was when they won Flyquest's first LCS games of the split purely through their academy roster. And that was off of a core of NXI, who's back in the NACL, and Tomo and Diamond literally destroying team fights and just cleaning up. And that was like the best that Tomo has ever looked. Fast forward to this year, especially in summer, like Tomo, I mean, I even in a call talked like I try my best to not call out players and criticize players in the middle of a cast. That was the one time I did it because Tomo did something incredibly egregious. Like took a realm warp and just died for no reason. So I think Tomo just is coming off the back of a really rough split. He cleaned it up for Proving Grounds, but I think Tomo was the reason why that Flyquest roster, who could have easily been a bottom team. Welcome back, Arsh. Diamond was like the main voice in rounding up a bunch of relatively new faces to the once Academy League, now NACL. And I think Diamond could do similar things with a Dignitas roster that is, for the most part, still either experienced in Insanity and Tomo, or like just fairly new in XU, who has completed his first split of NACL and has a lot to prove this year, and Hoon, who had a very unfair introduction to pro play in North America.
Yeah, that would actually I was Dignitas Arsh while the Hoon stuff happened, and like I felt pretty bad. Like I don't know, I didn't love the memes. Like Jesus Christ, the fire. It's so smoky in here. It's hard to. It's hard to.
No,
Wait, you just have to like have a fire alarm, like go
no,
take a cig break or something.
There's no camera for this, so for all the listeners know, it's still on fire in here.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, like I don't love like community memes where it's just like, oh, this one guy sucks. Even like team stuff is like more fine, but like once one guy, especially like after his post after the year, I was like, damn, I really hope like he doesn't quit now, and he didn't, which I'm really happy about. Like he's stick with it, and he's with XU now, which I didn't get to hear most of this conversation, but I really like this team. I like XU and Insanity a lot. I've met both of them, and they're very, very chill.
So I also know that like from these guys behind the scenes, like obviously when the River trade happened, like I don't like. I mean, it is a crappy spot because like not only like did it kind of force people to get promoted early, but also it was an academy team like that was starting to play really well together. And I know that like Insanity was actually super bummed that like they couldn't kind of finish out the season together because they really did feel like they were playing well.
Yeah.
And so hopefully like them being reunited this time around like that,
I mean,
it could be
even
good
without
motivation.
that, even without that, they made Proving Grounds finals, right?
Yep. Yeah,
So,
and through the upper bracket, no one was expecting that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wasn't
They
expecting
have
that. I bought
Dios,
tickets for
though.
Proving Grounds finals before I knew that the team
And
I was
they do
on
not have
made
Dios
it.
anymore.
Yeah, that's true.
They're sad.
Dios,
was
I'm down
the
to spend a little bit
Dios
talking
beef.
about Dios. Like, people don't know that Dios is
Yeah,
not
Dios.
Immortals. He,
Yeah.
like, such a big. Every player on Dig Academy last year talked about how impactful he was. He was the coach, and now he's on IMT's LCS coaching staff. Actually, that's one of the reasons where I think like IMT and LCS actually has a pretty decent upside. But yeah, I'm excited to see how this Dignitas roster does for sure. Did we have anyone else who wanted to comment? I didn't get to hear what everyone said.
Oh, I was just gonna say like so Deos actually he so I was gonna be a coach for like the TL tryout. I was asked to help out. I had nothing else going on, so of course, I mean, I got to say yes to the opportunity. It was a great opportunity experience, but Deus actually helped me prep for that. And like he's a good guy. He's really good at like kind of build like. I think him and Dig like they built a nice culture. At least that's what it sure as hell appeared like. And I know from talking with some of the Dig guys, like they had a lot of fun last year. And so I think the fact that like just having him in the building is always great. And I think IMT made a lot of good moves org side on this offseason. That was definitely one of them.
Especially, I mean, I don't want to spend too long on LCS from talking NACL, but like for an org that gets, especially behind the scenes, like insanely memed on for how bad their infrastructure is, they invested and it really feels like that's turning around. So it's a complete flip of narrative. And, you know, Dig Academy is a big part of that.
Now.
Yes.
Kenvi based.
I've always supported Kenvi.
Kenvi based.
Kenvi is
Kenvi top 5 jungler
I
in the
can't
world.
say this publicly. Okay. Kenvi's just very cute.
Yeah, you want me to censor you real quick? You want me to mute you? while
Okay,
you-
my goat.
Okay. So, next thing, we talked about the title contending teams, but we asked for questions from Twitter, and this guy, complete random, like I don't even know who this is, but Seanatonin, I want to say.
Oh, I can't believe we're promoting the person that murdered OPTSM fan.
Yeah, and stole his
cold
identity.
blood.
Pretty messed up.
I mean,
I forgot
given
that's who
how
Seanatonin
TSM
was.
has not done themselves any favors in their org, I think it's okay to murder your identity as OPTSM.
Former
fan.
alter ego. Okay, so Sean asks about the Dark
Demons to
Horse
the
teams.
future.
So specifically, I guess for Andrea, Cubby, and Raafaa, who's the Dark Horse team? Pick one.
I can go first.
Ooh,
I think
we have one.
IMT.
Ooh,
I think
okay.
IMT is the Dark Horse
Okay.
team.
IMT?
Especially in this group because apparently we are not rating them in here, but like I think they are a stronger team than people think about. Like I think Chad has carried worse teams honestly to better finishes than
He is a
Like,
Chad.
And I think the solo laners, because people don't know enough about them, I think people are not going to think much about them. I think Wixie already proved that he can also carry teams that are not
Wixie
as
is
great
so
into
cute.
a really
I love
high finish.
Wixie.
And I mean, Joy is still pretty good. So like, I think this team could go really far.
It's so indicative of our dynamic. Andrea's like, yeah, like Wixie's done really, really well. He's like a really
I
stable player.
agree
and
with
Delphi's like,
Andrea.
he's so cute. On the
No,
back.
but he is cute. Okay, no. First of all, Wixie is very cute. I will stand by this. And also Boosty thinks really highly of him, which is a big plus in my book. But I also, as somebody who really doesn't know NACL outside of like any of the provisional teams, I would also pick Immortals purely because I think Joey is a good player, and I think their bot lane is really strong with Wixie Joey.
Wixie
like-
Joey does look really strong. That jumps out.
Yeah,
at me really
like-
hard.
And then also, like, Chad is good, like, as far as I know. Like, this guy's also ADD. He was the one who played Teemo top
He's a
in
pretty well
Champions Queue.
champion.
And I think Teemo top is more base than anything any other top laner in this league has ever played. So,
two things. One, ADD. So he actually used to play in LCK for MVP, and he was known for picking stuff
so
like
he, like,
Scion
played,
top.
He was like, he's
Yeah.
EDD's younger brother?
No, ADD, like he's been okay, yeah, okay, nice,
Dude, you
nice.
said the LCK
Yeah,
thing too, and I was like, dude, I had this joke cooking for like 2 minutes. Like, I gotta say it now.
No
He's an LCK.
Yeah, but him, like MVP, they had the support called Max, who was like the original Lehens in terms of picking crazy stuff, and they would 4-way flex Scion. ADD was like known for Scion back then, so he was a great tank player. He's been like playing really well. Or I should say playing for a long time at like a decently high level. I also know that like it was pretty common that when academy teams last year wanted top lane practice or good top lane practice, they would scrim ADD's team. And when they wanted good bot lane practice, they would actually scrim Bvoy and Mia, at least in spring, because they were bot lane. So ADD is someone that is thought of decently like highly of. And I'm a little bit torn on him being imported because I do kind of respect him as a player, but also I feel like there were a couple good top laners that I see on provisional teams or that aren't in the league, like Zamudo, that could have been good options. So I'm a little bit.
Andrea, you want to talk about Surdy real quick?
Yeah.
Wait, actually, I was gonna
I
say it from my Dark Horse team.
No way.
I didn't
no.
mean Dark Horse to win. I just think Dark Horse like to overperform what the
Okay,
expectations
sure.
are. And
Sure.
Team Liquid, TL First, which is a horrible name by the way. TL First is such a weird name.
TL Prodigies, it's okay.
Yeah, TL First, Surdy, City Witty, Aspect, Mia, and Rovex. Now, I don't know Aspect and Rovex as well because I'm a normie fan. But
Wow.
Surdy, City Witty, and Mia, I am a fan of all three of these players.
All right.
I think they're very good.
Mia, my number one.
So I
She's my
already
favorite
think that
ADC
this team is
bun.
like insane, like on paper, especially for the fact that it's not a provisional. It's like whatever. It's like one of the technically like tier 3 teams that are promoted in.
Yeah, you can be relegated. Yeah.
They can be relegated, and I don't think, like, if I were to bet on a team to be least relegated, just off of my limited knowledge, it would probably be them, because this roster looks insane to me.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm stupid.
Me and Cubby were talking about this team, and I think there's a lot of variables and volatility within this roster, but it's easily one of the most exciting rosters on paper as well. You have, I think, probably one of the most. What's a good word? Okay, I'm not gonna fumble on it for a while. Mia has hit challenger in every single role, and
She's the GOAT.
She's the
she
Bucio
is
of ADC.
so damn fucking smart at the game, and has worked her ass off in just like proving that she can understand each role to a very high level. And now just comes the part where if she can deliver, she can execute in a semi-pro environment.
Rafa, I have a quick question.
Sure.
Do you know what Mia's name used to be?
No, I don't.
It used to be Mianya.
That is hype. That is funny.
Me and your mama.
Oh,
She's a fucking memer. I love it.
Wow. Oh, I'm so happy I came on this podcast.
Oh my god, that's incredible.
I had to, bro. I'm sorry.
No.
I literally thought that was her old name. I was like, I thought it was Sumia, but I guess maybe it was Mia. Yeah.
Yeah,
Me
it
and
was
your
Sumi
mama.
Mia, yeah.
Wait, are you like memeing me, or was that actually her name?
No, oh my god, no. Her name was not.
Oh,
me.
okay. I thought this was like an elaborate dragging these balls across your face or something. I'm like, oh, okay, wow, that's. But if that
I'm
was
so
her old
happy.
name, that's like incredibly base. That has to
It
be in
would,
a
it would
call
be very
now.
base.
That has to be in a call. If she like gets a pentakill, I need whoever's casting. So just go something like, Mia picking up the pentacle with your mama in a bed too. Let's fucking go. Just some DJ shit like that. Like that would go so hard. I would go so crazy. But memes aside, I think apart from Mia being an incredibly exciting player to watch, and just really leave her mark in semi-pro and NACL, I think for me, Surdy is the player that I want to see do the most on this roster. I remember being extremely vocal that I wasn't a believer in Surdy because I thought he was extremely volatile and he took way too many flips. But over time, I came to realize that is how you get better as a player. That you have to push yourself, you have to limit test yourself, and while Surdy,
I do that in rank too. So
yeah.
I agree. Yep, a lot of limit testing.
Yeah. So, but like when Surdy goes for things and he goes for like skill checks in lane that you don't need to do in order to win the game, he's doing it because he knows that, okay, there's a way to like maximize an advantage. If he gets it, insane. Now you have like a win con that wasn't previously there now to play off of, and it gives your team an insane advantage. If he loses it, oh well. Like now you're giving your team a lose con that wasn't there, but like this is NACL. Like why? Yeah. Like a lot of people and a lot of teams are going about it in the wrong way, where they're trying to build rosters to win NACL. That shouldn't be the point. And I know Cubby very much echoes this and has a great way to. I'm just going to tag team you in, Cubby. You need to slam dunk this point because I'm the play-by-play and you're the color. Get in there. Go. Yeah. What is the purpose of NACL? What should be the purpose of NACL?
Promote talent internally or sell
Fuck
talent
yeah,
externally.
Baby! My fucking go.
Wow, thank you, Raafaa.
Yeah.
That was amazing. Cubby, do you have another horse team?
Yeah, so I actually had two that were going to be in my running to like talk about the top teams that we didn't want to like reach to grab. Or didn't just have like as a consensus. And those two teams, I will make the dark horse my second one. One would actually be Flyquest. I think Philip, Yuji, and Spyrax. So that trio really wanted to stick together to play this year. And I think that they are rounding it out. Masu Winsome played really well with Unicorns of Love Sexy Edition. And so I think that we'll see how Masu does because he's in his second split of competing. But that's definitely a roster I'm going to have my eyes on closely. And then my dark horse...
Philip in Academy is like such a insanely like...
Ooh.
Oh, and can I shout out Philip real quick for my friend Timon? Philip, please stream. Timon, your biggest fan, is waiting for you to stream during human hours during EU time. Please stream. Yeah. He misses you a lot.
Also, Philip, whenever I talk to Philip, he always signs off his messages that I'm the GOAT, which I just respect. That's
so funny. He is the GOAT.
That's hilarious.
He's also really nice IRL.
Yeah, he is a really, really nice guy. My actual dark horse, though, no bias, it is TL. We have not talked about Bradley and Mir. I think that those two players might be the two strongest players in their role this year. Mir is Arthur from Chiefs, who also used to play for Hanwha Life back in 2021. He was subbed out for Willer when they made their Worlds run, but he has played LCK. His Lee Sin is disgusting. He is mechanically very talented. And him and Bradley could very easily just destroy a bunch of top sides of the map, a lot of whom are still developmental. I think that Bradley could be the best player in the league this year. And then we have APA.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's crazy to me that you're not mentioning APA yet, because...
Yeah, so for me, APA is... I'm excited for APA, because, I mean, he just has deserved this opportunity, I feel like, for a couple off seasons, and now he finally has it. He worked his tail off to do so. He earns it, or has earned it. I think that APA will be good in the league because APA plays map and understands some of the fundamentals of the game so well. that I think that like he will just be a solid player. I want to see
Yeah,
how
it
much
really
he
feels
can
like
push
he's always
him.
got a plan. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah. Yeah. May potentially you might be thinking ahead. Who knows? I want to see if he can continue to push himself and grow. I know that Spawn, like when he got picked up, Spawn just had him start spamming Akali games and Silas games, trying to get him to play melees. And if APA starts to perform on that, like those types of champs, that's when I start to get really excited again about APA. I will say that he is one of the hardest players for me to cover because it is actually, it's hard for me to not be biased for him. He's a good guy. And I really, really root for APA.
yeah, a lot of people in the scene
yeah.
I've heard are really big fans of this guy's like personality.
Yeah.
Like he's just genuinely always been referred to as like just a good person.
Insanely hard worker.
Yeah, like and it, like in a way, like the last 3 years, like we've both kind of been in the trenches, right?
Oh, true.
And yeah, he works his butt off, and really like in a way, we have pushed each other each to like work harder. So yeah, I must like I have to like always like limit like on cast. Obviously, like this is like not stuff I share or anything, but he is like one of the tougher players for me to cover. But yeah, I'm rooting for him, and I do think that TL like they will compete for top 4. I feel pretty confident, especially with the top side of the map.
Yeah. Raafaa, did you have a dark horse team to?
I mean, I honestly was thinking about Flyquest as well because I personally pushed for UG as one of my most valuable prospect candidates back in spring, and when he was being nominated, I also pushed for him in summer. But I think in the end we chose like the right ones for both spring and summer, which were Dokla and Busio respectively. But I mean that UG is someone that is very exciting as a jungler. He's not in the same vein as someone like Shaden, who's just insanely mechanically talented, similar ceiling level to like Jujupyeon. But UG is someone that even when he is restricted by things like going back home to Mongolia and playing on huge amounts of ping, instead of
That's
just
why
being
he's
like
the GOAT.
yeah, instead of being like, oh well, I can't like play at my optimal best after being used to like LA Champs Q servers or LAN servers, you know, I guess
Right.
I just won't play. He literally studied and watched streams of other high level players from every single lane and learned lane matchups so that when he came back to the summer, he was like, okay, I know that in this matchup, X and X beats Y at these levels. This is a big item power spike. This is a
Dude,
big component
That
spike.
is so
And he would
sick.
plan his pathing to accommodate those. And I think that Yuji is someone who, even when he had a slow start in spring, he adapted quickly, and he's just insanely intelligent. And
I will add to that too. Like when he adapted in spring, it was kind of a band-aid fix for Fly in the sense that it was kind of full clear meta. So it would have UG play full clears, and he would start on top side, and then on the second clear, they would take Dragon. And like this is a play the Flyquest ran like 7 out of 9 games when I scouted them back in spring. So they really simplified things for UG. So like when you think of that, like, hey, this is a way that like this player does need to improve, and then he takes his off season like where he's at back home, uses the fact like he has high ping to like actually study the game and like come back and look at it differently. He was the most improved player from spring to summer, and that was really exciting for him.
I mean, I'm just actually really impressed because like what you always hear from junglers like at pro level whatever is like first thing they ask like, is to get in the game is like, okay, when are you guys winning? When are you pushing? Like junglers in LCS are asking this, like Yanko's asked this, right? But like for a player to spend the time in jungle to just like not have to ask those questions, like implicitly understand that is just incredible. Like that's actually a really cool thing.
And like I won't sugarcoat it. It's not like he learned every single matchup in the game.
Yeah.
He always has to do his prep, but he learned the most relevant ones. So he was well prepared for come summertime to be able to implement and just have way better game plans going forward without having Diamond to always need to hold his hand through. And this is now a year where Flyquest no longer have the tutelage and guidance of Diamond, which I think on the similar level of Zazel will do a large level of talking and comms on whatever his team he is on. It might be Insanity talking a little bit more, and obviously XU being encouraged to be more vocal, and who's always been someone that wants to push himself, no matter how inconsistent he can be. Like that team is also going to be really fun to watch. But like Diamond for Flyquest helped give Spyrax and Yuji the push they needed to now be on their own. So the big test for Flyquest, and the test if they can be a top team on their own, is how well can Yuji and Spyrax step up and be vocal leaders? How well can they soar on their own after leaving the bird's nest from Diamond?
All right. I'm actually like way more. I'm glad we did this because I'm way more excited for way more teams than I was before this in the NACL because I just didn't know as much, right? But like genuinely, I mean, I really liked Philip last year, so I'm really glad that. I mean, I'm sad that he's not in LCS because, like Takui and like most of the members of that Flyquest roster, I believe that they should be starters. Like, I think Takui should be a starter in the LEC. Like, I don't. But for some reason, Flyquest, like all of Flyquest 2022, just went out of Tier 1 play. So, I mean, in terms
Bring
of that,
back
like, at least
Afro
Philip
Moo.
is somewhere good. Yeah, I don't even know where Afro is. Afro's not even playing
He's
Smoj.
just playing League on stream, I think. I'm really sad.
But okay, so we have one last thing. We were gonna have an extra question after this, but we're coming up at an hour. But like quickly touching on like the open qualifier relegation, like who do you think is, if you guys, this probably is just for Raafaa and Cubby, and maybe Andrea would know as well, but like who do you think is the strongest players, or maybe even like teams outside of NACL, like in the open qualifiers?
Yeah, so I will preface this, like, not all the OK rosters are out. I know a few behind the scenes. I think the one that's been announced that I think is good is Natives with Fnatic. Fnatic and like Jungle is the most stacked role, as I mentioned earlier. This goes for LCS. Like, Armeo not having a team is a crime, but also I think Fnatic not having a team in NACL is also a crime. And I think that Fan is really deserving. And I think that's a team that they're going to really try and relegate some of the teams that are involved for the promo relegation tournament. And I've heard really good things from about their top laner, Shocky, too. Also, yeah, from Fan. Fan thinks highly of them. So that's one team I definitely have my eye on.
Because of certain people I might know. Either on that
certain
roster or
friends of the program.
Yeah, certain people who may or may not be in this call right now, or certain other people who may or may not have been on a podcast episode previously. But like, yeah, I paid attention to that roster. I already knew many of the players. I know a lot of the people involved in that. I am really excited for Native, genuinely. I think it looks very
Messeriz. Love messages. I played Aaron with him, and he was running it down so hard. I left the lobby after, but yeah, love that guy.
Wow, you take ARAMs very seriously.
Yeah,
I'm joking.
No, I'm here for it. I'm all about the competition. Raafaa knows I flame this guy sometimes in the jungle.
Oh,
I mean, he literally said, like,
you're on your Arsh
I can
Goyle
help
behavior,
master guys, or I can get shit faced and shit stomped by someone in silver. Like,
getting shit faced by someone is so funny because that is not.
It's not. Dude, it's not exactly what I mean, but like, I mean, it literally feels like that. Where I'm like egoing this guy so hard, and I'm just like ignoring basic fundamentals.
Dude, I do that all the time. I go up like 17-0 on some like whatever bronze mid laner because I don't want to talk about replacements.
You check the OPGG and you're like, oh, this guy's bronze. I'm gonna fucking invade as Maokai versus Evelyn because I can do whatever I want. And then suddenly 3 lanes collapse on me. And I'm just not checking. I'm not paying attention to whether I'm allowed to even evade, even if it is low elo, right? So,
yeah, I definitely do that. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think we're coming up in an hour. If there's any other things that like people wanted to talk about, we usually have like a little like bit for Delphi to just like rant about whatever player she wants to rant about right now. So Delphi can go and do that if she wants.
So I talked about this last. Actually, I'll talk about something different. I'll talk about the Immortals vlog. So Revenge posted a vlog, and
Ooh.
Kenby was only in it for like 30 seconds, but like he was still the cutest part of the vlog, like entirely. He's just like he's so, and everything Charlie tells me about this guy, he's just like so shy, and all he does is stay in his room and play Apex when they're not like scrimming. It's so cute. And I also know my good friend Maxie. She loves Kenby. So big shout out to Maxie, and I need to send her that vlog actually because it's really cute. That's all.
Right. Yeah, I mean,
I like-
you did enough simping on this episode already, so I don't know if we needed more, but it works. I can't believe you had more.
I like Revenge content. I actually was lucky. So Revenge is from the Chicagoland area. And so we actually got coffee this off season, and I haven't like talked to him a ton before. Like we met at the LCS after party, but really thoughtful guy, and it was really interesting like hearing his journey from he posted on Reddit like way back when that he was going to med school and quitting League, and kind of like I got like some like the bits and pieces like in between that, like how he got back in, and it was really interesting to listen to. I think it's a great story. I hope that it would honestly, in my opinion, make for a good LCS feature. And I'm really hopeful for him this year. I like a lot of the changes that Immortals made behind the scenes, and I think that Revenge and that team have a really good opportunity to surprise some people in LCS this year.
I would
think
love for Immortals to do good. I would love it.
I
That
agree.
looks really good.
I was thinking about it earlier, and I like for the first time maybe there's not a team where like I would be happy to see them do bad. Which
Oh,
like
wow.
sounds bad, but like
You're a hater, bro.
Or, no,
You're
the
not
other
hating
way,
someone.
the
Wow.
other way where it's like what I meant is like there's not a team where I wouldn't be happy to see them win. Does that make sense? It was sounded weird to phrase it that way, but this makes more sense. I would be happy if like Immortals did insanely well. I'd be really happy if GGS did insanely well, if TSM did insanely well. Like, because no matter what team it is, like I'd be really happy if any team goes to the top. Which like
Yeah,
I'm
the thing
not
is
always
about-
feeling like that.
Oh, well, I always feel like that. Like last year, I felt like that. 2021 I felt like that. 2020, I felt like that. When I watched LCK, I felt like that. When I watched LPL, I felt like that. Because like I just have players I like on every team. So anyway,
Based.
supporting all teams is very based. Except you have to watch your team lose every single
Game.
day.
Every
That's
game,
true.
someone you like is losing.
Yeah.
The one thing I laughed at, like it made me gut laugh. It was the LEC talent announcement where they got to Dogda's part, and it was the clip at Worlds where he's like, in order to truly root for a team, you must hate on them, and then like
Yeah.
across just came like based.
Yeah, and then it
was
just like that,
oh my
dude, that
god,
talent
It
announcement
was
was
so
incredible.
good.
so funny.
I
It was
watched that. I
so
woke.
good.
I think it was the first thing in the morning because it's like European time. I woke up and I saw the thing and I saw that Ender was tagged and I was like, if I'm getting baited right now, this is completely unrelated to LCS, but like if I was like, dude, if I'm getting baited by Ender being LCS or LEC, I was like, dude, and he was. I was like, yes, let's go. It was so hype. I was so happy with that. And speaking of talent announcements with certain people who I like joining Tier 1, congrats again, Raafaa. That came out today. That's crazy. We planned this before we knew that announcement was happening. Like day
Yeah,
of.
so yeah, I was curious, and I was like, I don't want to leak anymore, but I feel bad that like you wanted to bring me on for NACL and not anyone else. So I'm glad you actually got Cubby on at least,
No,
because
but this is good. This is like your goodbye to the league. It's you put so much work in for so long, and you know all these players, you love all their narratives, and you know all of it. So it makes sense to have you on. And then now you come into the league of LCS, play the Tier 1.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, fortunately for us, he's still doing some double dipping.
Yep.
Oh really? I did not know this.
Yeah. So when I talked to the LCS producers, I asked, one of the very first things I asked was, "Hey, I'm really grateful for this opportunity to do my dream job, and but I wanted to see if I would still be allowed, since NACL would be on different days than LCS, if I could still do and be part of the NACL broadcast. Honestly, I wouldn't ask to be, on every show, and I don't want to take away from the other play-by-play casters who deserve to be taking more playtime or show time on the broadcast and to
but
really grind to make it.
Like Mark and stuff did. Mark and Latigris did like step into both like when they initially started doing LCS as well, and like I mean it makes even more sense for you because like again you like help build NACL broadcast as it is today. It makes sense.
Mm-hmm. I want to keep a connection with the grassroots scene as long as I can, because I think what LCS lost touch with over the years was that connection to where new players were coming from, the LCS pipeline of where domestic talent were kind of like grinding and making a name for themselves. I mean, like when you think of back before we had franchising, we had the old relegation system, and anytime a new team would take out a top team and make their way in, Good Game University then turning into Coast, like that was a super exciting time. Look at Cloud9, how they first started. They were Quantic Gaming back in season 3 spring.
The San Francisco saga.
Yeah. They like had to grind their way in through relegation. Dignitas getting relegated by there's a couple teams like Velocity Esports that came in through the grind, Gravity Gaming as well. So like every single time that a team would come in through the relegation system, we would have a broadcast for it, and the LCS was forced to do their prep and do their homework and learn about the stories of these new teams coming into the system. It wasn't just they just got in and then like, oh yeah, they came through amateur, don't know much about them, right? And that's kind of what happened after the franchise system. Anytime a new player was brought in, like there was very minimal spotlight put on, if they got in through scouting grounds, if they got picked up during the draft. Like look at Blabber, for instance. He is right now one of the like greatest North American junglers, domestic junglers,
of all time.
And now making a case for all time, right? After people like Xmithy and Medios at this point. So and we don't know jack shit about him. Like we have not known jack shit about him at all ever since he first started making an appearance in 2018 after his scouting ground performance in 2017. We're hoping to change that this year, or at least that's one of my missions, is to bring more content and talk more about where players like Blabber and Spica came from, because obviously we have the legacy old guard like Bjergsen and Doublelift, who they made the name for themselves. LCS didn't have to do any heavy lifting; they just kind of kept it propelled up and kept milking the name for it, and it's what made one of the reasons why LCS was a majorly entertaining broadcast, is because they were already taking these big names and just keeping it afloat. And it's one of the main criticisms of like last year when Bjergsen returned, and when they could have done a big piece on Jojopyun, they just decided to say Bjergsen's back, because that's what was going to sell more to the bigger audience.
To be fair though, like of late, like LCS has fixed this. Like if you look at like the recent players, I think the casual LCS fan knows way more about Jojopyun, Busio, and Tenacity than they do about Speak and Blabber. Like genuinely, which is such a
thanks to me.
All thanks to Delphi. Okay. They only Delphi.
I mean, Delphi might be like half joking, but it's low key true. Like it's been hardcore fans of specifically those players that have done a lot of the heavy lifting, and then like I want to give a special shout out to like Emily Rand or Raz or even Mark Z, who do take a lot of time to actually like watch the semi-pro leagues.
Yeah, I mean, Emily even showed up to Proving Grounds finals. I remember I saw her there. I talked to her in the audience.
Raz too. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Raz was of course there. But I mean, like we got a little bit of tangent, but like this is perfect as a way to end off like the second NACL episode for the offseason, because we do really like. There are a lot of differences in how NACL manages to build up stories, because there are players in NACL who I'm more excited about, I know more about, than players in the LCS. And it's like, that's an important difference in how those players are given their stories and how those stories are amplified. So I think it's really important to be able to see how exciting NACL is, and I'm really glad we had our two special guests, Cubby and Raafaa, here to talk about that. So as we outro here, I'll let our guests go first. Cubby, you can go ahead, tell people where they can find you, a little shout out, something funny and quirky. I'm sure you've got that lined right up.
No, I appreciate that. Like, I mean, we try our hardest with the young guys coming up. Like, I mean, our goal is to like give LCS stuff to just run with, right? Like, I think that they did a great job carrying on, like, especially the Dokwa storyline from spring, because he was our MVP, and like he's a great success story, and just proving that the system works and it can work for anyone if you just work your ass off, which he did. But no, thanks for having us, and I like in terms of like a lot of like the player like storytelling and stuff like that. Like thanks for all that you guys do too. Like, especially like not to pick on Andrea in the call, but like she's got her hands in so many projects, whether it's this, the profiles, the OE Cord, or their own podcast. Yeah. So yeah, but I mean,
carrying the LCS fandom for real.
No, that goes like for so many other people's, like, you know, Angie and like her work with Travis and all you guys. So much appreciated to, you know, keep on building these guys up, because ultimately, like, I mean, that's why I was passionate about my job. Like, I tried to play, I tried to coach, and I ended up being successful at this because I kind of knew what I wanted out of a caster when I was in those seats. So yeah, I really appreciate you guys for that. And also we will have a podcast re-debuting this upcoming Tuesday called Raising NA again. It will be me, Raafaa, and Joshi from our couch with our producer Manny, who will also have a cam and mic.
Wait, which Manny is this?
Man Walrus, Manny Sanchez. We're really excited.
Very cool. I mean, I know both Mannys, but I know that Manny as well, so I was just curious.
Yeah, so we're really excited. We're trying to get guests in person, but we're likely going to have to like be calling in some remote folks. So
hey, if you need someone in LA,
we will. Yeah, we're gonna start working on a guest list after we make sure we can just do it as 4. But yeah,
cool.
no,
that's a sick idea.
Yeah, no, we'd be like really down to have some of you guys on, whether that's remote or in person. So yeah.
But yeah, Raafaa.
Thank you again for letting me and Cubby on, and thank you for entertaining my long tangents.
I think for most of the long tangents, I was out because of a fire alarm, so we're chilling. I didn't even know him.
I may have had slightly shorter tangents than Cubby, but I definitely did have mine. So, you know, and anytime people let me talk for longer than I probably should, you know, I'm extremely grateful for. So, again, support NACL, support LCS, support all levels of North American League of Legends esports this year. 2023 going to be the best year. I even saw JoJo's Travis interview. He's, to Elaine's dismay, he's not streaming, but if he wins spring finals and after they go to MSI, he's going to stream. So
maybe.
Because he's trying to.
He was like, "I'll stream maybe if we win MSI." I was like, "Damn, maybe."
No, he said he would. At the end, he's like, "If we win spring finals, you know, I'll start streaming after MSI." But he's doing it for the case of so that LCS can actually win worlds. You know, if there's anyone that can do it, I know he can.
All right. Yeah, I guess Delfi, if you want to give a little shout out.
I want to shout out shout out to my mom. She's pretty cool. Shout out to the North Carolina finals, which I might actually be able to go to. And shout out to Elaine, who I'm gonna probably this isn't for sure yet, but I might meet at LCS on the day that EG plays 100 Thieves.
I'm all here for people meeting people.
And me and Elaine will be in the LCS studio beefing during the EG 100 Thieves game. So, if you guys want to see us there, I think it's the second super week of spring LCS. It's our spring breaks. Hopefully we can be there. I hope to see all of you guys. We will have very recognizable posters. Just that.
I guess I can show up.
And you can find me on Twitter, December OLI, and Delfino, basically everywhere else. Yeah, that's my shout out.
Oh, Andrea?
Yeah, I have 2 shout outs. First of all, there's a brand new channel in the NAmen Discord called NACL Discussion, where you can come and chat with me and all the other NACL nerds about anything related to the North American Challenger League. We're always there and we're always talking all the time, so it's pretty cool. My second shout out is to Certi, Tomio, and Skytech. Last year, it was not great. This year, This year it will be it.
This year will be great.
This year they thrive.
Make
this year they
NACL
thrive.
great again. That's what Andrea's
Yeah,
saying.
that's all.
Andrea agrees with that. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I'll give my shout out real quick. I don't really have anything specific. Shout out to everyone here. Like everyone's been working super, super hard. Delphi's been pumping out content like a absolute psycho. I'm trying to stream as well. Hopefully, I've been not streaming because my throat is ruined right now because I love talking and I cannot stop myself. But yeah, like I mean, shout out everyone. I'm really excited to see everyone at LCS next week. I'll be there Thursday, so if anyone is going, I'm skipping a bunch of classes to go because they promised me free swag, so I gotta get the free swag. But yeah, thank you guys so much for listening. This is the NAmen Podcast. We'll be back next week with something new. Thank you so much to our special guests again.